Alright, so for today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Klein Tools Impact Flip Socket Set with the swivel adapter. Now, at the time of filming this video, this is a relatively new tool from Klein. Now, the model number for this is 32984, and this one does feature a few more sockets than the other set that they have out there. They do offer this set. I believe it just comes with the 1/4 and 5/16, whereas this one comes with 3/8, 7/16, 1/2 inch, and 9/16. These are going to be impact rated, so you can use them on your impact driver, or if you wanted to, you could put them in your drill if that's your preferred tool. So to start off the video here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the main feature of this kit, and that is going to be this swivel adapter, which is going to allow you to get to those somewhat weird angles. If you got to end up driving a screw kind of on a weird angle, or if you're trying to take a screw out that was put in on a weird angle, this guy can be a little bit helpful for that. Maybe you don't necessarily need to get a 90-degree drill or a 90-degree adapter out. Maybe you just kind of want to get in there on a small angle. This is going to be able to help you out with that. Now, one thing about this kit is you do get a bit driver or a nut driver shaft here, and then the swivel attachment itself is kind of like its own little bit here. So maybe you didn't want to use the swivel adapter and you just needed a short 1/4, 5/16, and you like the Klein bits, you can easily use this little one. Now, one thing to note about pretty much almost all of the Klein nut driving bits out there is these are considered a 3-in-1 bit, and you're probably wondering where the third tool is if you're not familiar with them. Pretty much all that is you move the socket up one notch to where the little screw driving bit that is laser etched onto the shaft is visible, and you can see your 1/4 inch nut driver. It goes a little bit hollower, and that allows you to insert a bit. This is just a number 2 Phillips from Milwaukee. Allows you to insert a bit, and now you have a bit driver. Instead of having to switch over to a bit holder, you can just use the socket for that. So you get the bit holder here, and then that also does apply. Drop that socket there. That also does apply to the swivel adapter here. So if you wanted to, you could use it as a bit driver, and then if you wanted to use it as a nut driver, you just clip it down into place, and you're pretty much ready to rock and roll. Now, they do have the sizes laser etched onto each one of the surfaces, and they also do color coordinate them, which is nice. Then you have the Klein Tools name that is laser etched onto the surface of your swivel adapter. You can see all the crazy different angles and things like that, kind of like a 45 or like an offset. You're not going to get a true 90-degree on here, so if you truly need a 90-degree adapter, this probably isn't going to work for you. But it does allow you to get some weird angles and drive some screws on some weird angles. And then, like I said, you have your shaft here, and if you want a longer shaft, you can take the one that comes with the different size sockets here, or you can leave those sockets on there and just insert that guy into the back of your swivel adapter, and you are pretty much ready to rock and roll with that. Now, this kit, like I said, does come with, you get a 3/8, which is also color coordinated. These are all color coordinated sockets, which is nice. So you're going to get your 3/8, 7/16, 1/2 inch, and 9/16, which if you do heating and cooling, these are some pretty common sizes that you're going to run into. 1/2 inch, you're going to be using for kind of like concrete anchors, but you're probably going to want a little bit deeper of a socket than this. 9/16 is pretty common to run into if you're doing like 3/8 threaded rod bolts and stuff. You're going to use 9/16 to kind of tighten those up, and then 7/16 you kind of use that for something like your C-clamps and your hanging material or your hanging straps and things like that. You're going to use those to tighten those bolts down. And then 3/8, you occasionally run into some units that have some 3/8 nuts, or I shouldn't say nuts, but 3/8 hardware holding doors and stuff on things of that nature. So these are pretty much all some common sizes if you do heating and cooling that you can use. And if, like I said, if you don't want these sockets for whatever reason, you just want 1/4, 5/16, Klein does also offer a kit that has them in there. I believe it comes with the 2 different size shafts. You just don't get the sockets. Or maybe you already have the different size sockets from one of the multi-bit nut drivers, and you just want to steal the sockets off of there, or just keep this in the arsenal with it. That's another good reason to pick up just that smaller kit rather than getting all these extra sockets with it. But that's pretty much it for the review on this guy. Like I said, this is impact rated, so you can stick this on your impact driver, or if you're not an impact driver user and you just want to use it on your normal drill, I see no problem with that. Now, I did pick this up at my local Lowe's. I picked it up the same time that I picked up that 10-piece grab-and-go socket set. At the time of filming this video, this wasn't on the floor just yet. It was on their top stock, but your store may vary. I had to get an associate to help me get this and that grab-and-go socket set down for me, but they were both in store. So, as always, there will be some links down in the description below if you want to pick up this set for yourself. And if you want to check your local Lowe's, I will have a link to the Lowe's webpage on there if you want to see if your local store has it. And if you don't have a Lowe's close to you, there will be some online retailers that do have this where you can order it and have it shipped to your house. And there will also be an informational page down there in the description from Klein Tools himself if you want to find out some more information about this tool. You can go ahead and check that link out. But with that being said, that's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching.